time out of your day to meet with Richard and I to talk about a partnership that we're both really excited about. Richard, of course, being from Minisoft and representing ARCS. I'm from Zebraworks and representing the bill queue side. We're just really excited to show you some of the integration points, how Zebraworks can kind of come in at the front and then at the end of the ARCS experience. And we'll add a little depth to that as we go throughout. Hey, Richard, great to see you.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for the introduction. Nice to see everyone. Thanks for attending. This is an exciting moment for us to be speaking about this partnership. As Ken runs you through the different slides, you'll start to see some features, a demo. We noticed that quite a few ARC firms around the world were asking for automated billing, payment portal, really everything we're going to run you through. And this wonderful partnership presented itself. Zebraworks, long-standing in legal and a similar legacy and history to ours, really made this an easy decision. And we have the pleasure today of running you through it. And of course, we'll take meetings and demos after this to understand your specific needs. But very excited about this partnership's ability to really close the invoice-to-cash cycle. Probably the most important message we'll run through today. So look forward to what Ken's going to show us. I'll chime in along the way. And welcome to this new partnership.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. And we do have to say, too, that we would love to take all the credit for identifying that we should partner. What really happened was there were a handful, maybe a little more than that, of firms who were enjoying ARCS and have for years and years. And they ended up purchasing BillQ on top of ARCS. And that's what kind of led us to this point to where, why would a firm do both? Basically, they have collections covered, right? And there's just a couple of small features they wanted to add to that. So we'll kind of go through that if that works for everybody. So at this point, hopefully everybody's seeing my screen. We're going to start at the beginning, which is kind of the problem. The problem, fortunately for most of you on this call, you've already started to address that over the years using ARCS, or if you're a brand new ARCS client, you're addressing it now. But this is really what it is. So when we look at the problem, let's just take an example. January 10th, the work's performed. We get pre-bills out around February 7th, and then by March 12th, we get the bill finalized. Around March 18th, let's just say March 18th, the bill's delivered to the client. They're one of those exception clients, right? So if we could treat everybody the exact same way, maybe we don't have that delay, but unfortunately in legal, that's just not the case. In April, the client tries to remember what the issue originally was. By May 25th, we're doing our follow-up for over 60 because it's just lagged a little bit. Hopefully, most of you have addressed that portion at this point. June 25th, we apply a discount, and then July 8th, the bill gets paid. And what that results in is total lockup of 180 days. It also, of course, affects realization. As we know by the data, the longer that bills sit out there, the less likely that they're going to be paid at 100%. I think, Richard, you and I have talked about this, that this is a real-life scenario.
Yes, this is a issue that we hear from firms around the world. We have clients in 63 countries using various versions of ARCS. And this is one of the key metrics they use to describe the effect of ARCS after the first financial year of install. How much did they reduce the 180 days plus by? Which is very interesting because if you think about in other industries, you've got bills sitting out there for 180 days or more, they're technically dead. But in legal, they're somehow still alive. And this is what ARCS has helped with, of course, with other things. This partnership we're speaking about amplifies the workflows to reduce this lockup. So any way we can reduce that is a win.
You've already addressed the 180 with ARCS. You've gotten that down. We think that there's even a further step that we can take by applying a few areas of automation. So let's just do perfect world scenario. Same work's done on January 10th. Same process, because we're not really assisting with the work to pre-built stage. So you're applying whatever tools you've employed to do that. February 10th, 11th, the bill's finalized and delivered. And we're going to show you how that's possible. March 8th, we're already doing priority follow-up because we're going to look for things that would indicate, exceptions that would indicate that we need to follow up maybe more quickly because it's not the customer's common behavior. And then March 10th is bill paid. Now, in a perfect world, what that looks like is total lockup is down to 60 days. We're collecting the money much faster, so we're going to realize 100% of that. So this is the goal. This is what we want to get to. How we do that, and Zebraworks in particular, and I know ARCS as well, but we're really in the business of exceptions. If every law firm did it the exact same way across the board, what we do wouldn't be that interesting. If there weren't exceptions to be handled, and there could be manual exceptions, right? And that's one of the things that Zebraworks is really coming in at, is how do we get our bills delivered more effectively, more efficiently, and more timely. And so we just want to completely eliminate manual exceptions. So anything that you have to manually keep track of, we got to treat this client differently. We bill all 10 matters except for this one together. And so that one needs to be treated separately. We're just going to sit on top of that and help eliminate those. And then what we're going to do is, in addition to the strategic exceptions that you're identifying with ARCS, we're going to look for strategic exceptions both on the bill delivery side as well as the payment side to understand how we can make that process a little bit better. So what we're talking about is everything after billing. So this is when we say invoices to cash, this is the cycle that we're addressing. So Zebraworks comes in, we have bill delivery. So as soon as you finalize bills in your financial management system, we're going to pick up on that. And then we're going to apply automation to either deliver them directly to the client immediately, or to put a step in between to where we can do a bit of review, and I'll add why that's sometimes necessary. AR notices, you're either doing with ARCS today and automating and sending those out. And if that process is working well, you of course continue to do that. We can apply the same bill delivery functionality to AR notices as well, and then also help with some of the on-demand ones. Collections, we're not going to dive into today. You guys already have that tackled. You've been doing this for a long time. And then lastly, what Zebraworks is going to do is just append a client portal. And the client portal, really what that's doing, so bill queue workflow automation, ARCS takes care of AR notices plus collections. And then the client portal is really where we change the experience for our clients, or your clients rather. And we also change the experience for your accounting team. And I'll add some depth to that as well as we looked at the solution.
Sure. Well, Ken, just on that, this visual is very powerful. This really covers the message. This is extending ARCS. This is upstream into delivery and downstream into payment. You covered some of the outcomes, which is important, like the shorter lockup, the higher realization. But some of the other things, the automatic application, less write-offs, visibility in ARCS, better decisions. This lockup word is a pain for our firms, but let's face it, every day of extra lockup is effectively an interest-free loan to your clients. And we're demonstrating this even more ways that we will be reducing that. So it's very exciting.
Awesome. Well, if it's okay with you, we'll just get into showing some software. I'm going to try to seamlessly do that. There we go. So get out of PowerPoint for just a second. We'll jump over to the software. What we're going to be looking at today, the product's called BillQ. It sits right alongside of ARCS and extends that. I will point out a couple of the areas of integration. We've got our own roadmap. What would be really interesting, because of your long-standing use of ARCS, is if you have other points of integration that you say, hey, it'd also be great if it did this. We are completely open to feedback, and we want to just continue to look for those integration points. So this is BillQ. What is BillQ? It's a board in the cloud application. It's 100% SaaS-based, hosted in Azure. We have tenancies all over. If you're in the UK or in Canada or US or whichever, we're able to accommodate. And what this represents is a synchronization of your financial information directly into BillQ. It's done about every 15 minutes. We'll talk a little bit about how the integration works, but what we're going to do, and we're actually not going to look at DataQ AI today, we're just going to focus specifically on matters, bill contacts, right? Clients and payers, as well as a section called activities. So when we bring this information across, we can pull WIP into this as well and some different things. But let's just start at where we kind of come into play. So we've automatically queued the bills up to be sent. And again, there's two ways for those to go out. If you don't have a lot of exceptions, or if we've automated those for you and you can just send them out the door, then they're sent out using Outlook. So they come from whoever you need them to come from, whether that's a centralized mailbox, or if an attorney wants to send it out, or if they come from the biller. You can actually tailor the workflow to accommodate all those preferences. For purposes of a demo, I really like to show the bill queue because this is another way that bills can get queued up to go out. And so what happens is we'll actually queue all of the bills into something called bill queue. And a queue can be either individualized, meaning I can have my own queue as a biller, an attorney could have their own queue, or maybe an attorney and an assistant or whoever else needs to have eyes on that. But what we'll do is we'll queue all the bills that need to be sent out. Again, if you don't have this step, then I would certainly not encourage to introduce it, but it is nice to be able to come through, see all the bills that are getting ready to leave. I can see the bill itself. So we've just pulled that from the financial management system. We've pulled the correct email template that you've chosen for this client, matter, attorney. You have full control over developing or designing the wording in these templates. It actually uses merge fields from your financial management system to build those. You can have as many as you would like, and they're extremely easy to tailor, change, and completely in your control. Now, I might want to change wording on it this time, so I could just simply come in and type like I would in any email message. There might be another attachment for backup or a rate change or something like this that I need the ability to add at this point. So got some flexibility in that, but the real key is to go review a few, highlight all, hit send, and then at that point, we use Outlook and Exchange to automatically send all of those bills out. Right, so at that point, the bills have left the firm. They're sitting in the client's inbox, depending on the preferences that you've assigned to those, right? If we needed to hold one of these or deny it, we certainly can. If we needed to go make a change and just re-queue it, that's real easy to do as well. What's nice if you are using the queue also is that you have complete visibility into what's happening. So I can come out and say, hey, we just finalized bills. Here's everybody they've been pushed out to. So these are our different billers in this instance. So I can see who still needs some assistance on getting those bills out or how many went out effectively, just different pieces of information. And this is actually customizable. So whatever you might identify as something important for you to see, then you can certainly do that. So carrying through the scenario, we've sent out bills. At this point, how you use ARCS really comes into play, right? So the bills are sitting out there, some are getting paid, some are late. You're following up on that from a collection standpoint. What the client's actually going to see, and this is the first point of integration, if you're sending out bills using bill queue, we'll have what we call a magic link to take the client to their payment portal. If you're sending out AR notices via ARCS, they'll have that same magic link so that if they go to pay the bill, this is actually what they're going to see. So they click a link. We know who they are because we sent them the bill and it validates to their email address. And those bills can actually either be sent as a link, which is sometimes important because we can track link activity and who's interacting with it and so forth. They can also be sent as a PDF. Many times having the PDF and the ability for that to be distributed is very important because a lot of your clients will just forward that PDF to their AP system and then the bill gets processed and handled. So we think it's important to have the flexibility of doing both. But from a client's
the sending a live link, I think that's maybe a great part that you could elaborate on because that is the difference, one of the difference in the features between ARCS and Zebraworks. Now, you can send it as a PDF, as an attachment, but the live link, so you can actually see when your clients visit the link.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have the ability to do both. And that might be one place on the AR notice side that if you wanted to send links as AR notices and try that out, then you could use BillQ to do that in coordination with ARCS so that we could have those AR notices that only included links or included links in both PDFs. The end result's going to be the same, which is the client comes to their payment portal. In this example, we only have outstanding bills and not current. Otherwise, there would be two tabs. It's going to show them every bill that they have that has a balance. This is kind of like the statement of account or the reminder statement that you would send out. It's just done in an electronic or in the client portal format. The client has the ability to come through and see any of the detail of these bills directly on screen. So in addition to a statement of account saying, hey, you owe us this money, here's the matter, here's the invoice and so forth, they don't have to wonder what that invoice was. They can pull it up directly on screen and hopefully answer any questions that they have. people at your firm can go to this exact same portal with the client and review these real time. Now, if a client's clicking on these links, it automatically tracks that activity. We have a dashboard that can show you and prioritize what we say is who's paying attention, but who's not paying, right? So that's a really good client to prioritize, is they've gotten into the client portal, they've interacted with a few of these bills. And in fact, let's just take that scenario. We're assuming they want to pay everything. So we just put in a total amount for them, make it very easy, but they click on 1144, they review it and they say, I'm not willing to pay that. Everything else is good. They're going to uncheck that. We're going to be able to identify that they paid everything but 1144. That's one of those strategic exceptions of why did they skip one? And then down below, you'll notice again for the client's use, it automatically totals it for them. So if they wanted to come in and put an amount, it'll just start paying oldest invoices first, all the way down to a partial payment. If they wanted to pay everything except an invoice, they can do this. But really what we're trying to do, the whole goal of the portal is to make it easier for clients to pay. So we do that by giving them all the detail, giving them all the backup, and then we also do it by allowing them to choose their payment methods. Now there's a little trick to that. We allow them to choose their payment method, but you get to choose which payment methods are available for that particular client.
Nice.
So if you don't take credit cards, this would simply just say new bank account, and they could put in bank information. If you do take credit cards, and if you want to allow this person to pay that way, they can come in and add their own credit cards. This one's automatically been saved from the past. When you go into enter new information, the client gets to choose, do we save this payment method? Is that our primary method? Enable automatic payments doesn't always work for every practice area, but it'd be great if it did. No AR is the best AR, right? But if the client's ever paid you before, their payment methods will be stored in here for them. Very important to understand that we're not storing them, you're not storing them, so there's no worry about compliance or anything of that nature. I simply put in any comments that we would like them to make, and you can put instruction in there or whichever, and then they hit process payment. When they hit process payment, they automatically get an email that's been designed by your firm that shows, hey, thank you for your payment, really appreciate it, here's your payment summary, and so on. The firm will get notification that payments have been made, and depending on how often you want to have those notifications, oftentimes it's just once a day, but you can do it multiple times or anything of that nature. This is a one-day turnaround for payments. And so what happens is that the next day, you'll receive a cash receipts report that shows all the payments that have been made. At the same time, we've created an import file that automatically gets imported into your financial management system. And the way that we can do that is because we have all the detail here. We're not relying on the client to put in the right matter number. We're not relying on the client to put in their account number, anything like that. And that's what allows us to import those transactions automatically. And then you can choose if you want to change how they're applied, you certainly can, but it's a really streamlined approach to get those transactions and to get those deposits into the FMS.
Looks very clean, very easy to use.
Right. So oftentimes we get questions, Rick. So it'll say, all right, well, what if it's a trust or retainer payment? That's just a different link. So those magic links that we put in for those notices will automatically take the client to the trust page versus the AR payment page. So oftentimes we see in law firms, you go to the firm website and that's where the link takes you. And then the client has a decision to make. Number one, they need to remember their account matter information. Number two, they need to decide if they're making an AR payment or if they're doing a trust or retainer payment. We just kind of eliminate those questions and allow somebody to click on a link that you've provided and take them specifically to the place that they need to make payment. What's also nice about that is if you have multiple accounts, multiple trust accounts or whichever, you can map those links to the different accounts so they don't have to worry about where it needs to go. That should never be on your client to decide. And then you can transfer or have it automatically line by line to the clients themselves. So at a really high level, those are two of the integration points, right? So both on the bill magic links as well as the AR notice magic links. Other bits of information, and again, we're not going to go into this in great detail, but I want to give you a little bit of a glimpse into the future. So all of these matters you can keep track of. Basic inquiry information. Obviously, you have to define the workflow that you're choosing. So it's very granular. So each matter, client, attorney, they can have their own workflow with their own preferences and so on. And then in, I believe, Q2 of this year, we're going to have the ability to also show through some of the ARCS activities that the collectors are inputting into ARCS directly into this view. So if you don't have front end access, if you will, or end user access to ARCS, this would be one way to kind of get that view. And we'll automatically store all the bills that have gone out, show the message that went out with it, show that this one included links so we can track those activity, or go over to link activity to see that. So lots of different options for you, but we did have some requests from existing ARCS BillQ clients who said, hey, there are certain activities that we want to show through. That way we don't have to go bug somebody and I can just simply see this. Because you mentioned it, Rick, I do want to just show how you can come through. And when you choose the workflow, you can just say link only, right? Or you can use the firm default, which is link and PDF. And AR notices work the exact same way bill notices work. You can queue all of those up. So this would be in conjunction with ARCS that says, let's go look at the rules within ARCS for when an AR notice should be generated. We can queue those up as well. So in the scenario that you run a report and go over it with the attorney to see what we should be sending out, we're going to skip that step and just say, here's everything you should be sending out based on the rules that your firm's defined. So now we can just sit down with somebody or provide them a link and go over it with them and say, this is everything that needs to leave the firm, and you get to choose whether or not to send that. We can pull email addresses from whoever and wherever in your financial management system. We can copy people within the firm. We can add addresses here and so on. But just like bills, you can click all, click send, or more importantly, you can also come to the pending AR notices and be able to see which ones aren't getting sent out as well. So you do get visibility into that process. And again, if it's working for you today and you don't need to send the link, stick with that, right? Because not changing is the easiest thing. So let's just kind of summarize some of the key benefits. So it is unified invoices to cash from A to Z, start to finish, however you want to put that, integrated with ARCS. We talked and looked at the customized bill delivery based on attorney-client matter preferences. The client payment portal, we're really proud of. We've got great experience working with clients to improve that process and get great feedback. And then, of course, automatic cash application back into the FMS has been really well received as well. This is easy to implement. The very first pieces of integration, emails from ARCS 3 include PayQ magic links, direct client access to their portal, emails the validation. So there's no login required. We have all the central tracking of ARCS 3's tasks and notes in that activity section that we just looked at. And so we're providing a holistic view of the entire billing and collections process. All the data is what drives DataQ AI. And I'd encourage you to take a look at that at some point. There's some really cool things that we can do. From an implementation standpoint, I do want to just talk a little bit about that. This is a lightweight implementation. And the reason why is because you've already installed ARCS, right? So you already have a lot of the bulk of the functionality. So we can just come right alongside ARCS. We do a data sync, and that's very important. There's no conversion here. We're not having to convert. You're not having to do days and days of data review. We're just going to set up a sync. Very easy to look at your FMS and then look at the data in BillQ. Weeks 3 through 6, we set up the workflows. So depending on which ones your firm would need to employ, the bill delivery, the AR notices, if you're doing trust workflow, email templates, and things like this. And so after week 6, you're seeing your very first results in your first billing cycle of your bills being delivered. By the way, those bills, we don't charge to send those emails. It's just all included as a part of the overall package. The key of what we're looking at today is from week 1 to week 6, the firm will start recognizing value immediately by automating those bills getting out the door. I do want to just highlight real quick, and we'll keep it at a high level because that's about my most comfortable level. But we can certainly dive into this with our CISO or more tech guys or anything of that nature. We use Microsoft syncing tools because most every law firm out there has Microsoft products. So these are tools that are built within SQL. Most of our clients are ProLaw or Aderant or 3E or SharePoint or something of that nature. The cloud versions of those, we use one method to sync that. The on-premise versions, we work with both, that we use another method to do that. They're both wrapped in Microsoft syncing tools. I think the most important part of this screen is, in addition to SOC 2 Type 2 and all the security certifications and so forth, everything's kept within your Microsoft Azure, basically. So all the databases are single tenant, so we're not ever commingling data. All the AI and BI that we do never has to leave the firm. It stays within the Zebraworks platform the entire time. So you just have 100% assurance that we're not sending data out in order to bring information back to look for those exceptions and so on. So we're just scraping the surface today. That's a bit on purpose because every law firm is unique. And so how you're going to use this might be unique as well. But wanted to give you a kind of an introduction or a flavor of the integration as it exists today. But that's, for the most part, what we planned on showing. Richard, how would you like to wrap us up?
No, Ken, I appreciate that. That was a great summary. This closes the loop. ARCS, for all you ARCS users out there, ARCS now sees the entire life cycle, not just the collections chase. Ken did touch on AI, and that's for a later date. But once the full life cycle is visible, that's when the AI will become very powerful, learning off of that. So we look forward to, we've done a few demos. This probably answers a lot of your questions, but your specific needs, if you want to catch up with us, our details are there. And as I said, we've done a few demos. I'm looking forward to meeting with you and understanding your needs and really showing you a platform where multiple teams can work in, fluidly and reducing friction. So we look forward to hear from you.
Great. Yeah. So we'll send out a follow-up email too that has this information in case you don't want to feverishly write down our email addresses. I would assume most everybody has Richard's, but the key is that we're here to help you, to hear your ideas. Certainly appreciate your time that you've taken today to take a look at this, but would love to come in and customize a demo specific to your needs and have time for questions and hopefully answers along with those. So again, thank you. And thank you, Richard, for all your contributions and for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day and let us know how we can help.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.